Kristen and Ellie, ready?
I don't know. Oh, yes, I'll paste you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming. Those of you that have supported us all year by going to tournaments and being there for us at our tournament and whatnot, I want you to know how much I appreciate it and the team appreciates your support. We had 33 students out for forensics this year, and as a team, we trophied at every tournament. It's only happened a couple of times in my career, and honestly, last year, I would have said that I didn't think we had a chance of doing that because we graduated a lot of seniors and we were very young this year, and I'm very, very pleased with the effort that these kids have given, and the talent that they have developed throughout the season is amazing, and I'm excited about our chances at state as well. We're also the league champs, and we qualified 32 events for state. The hard part about that is that I can only take 16. So one of my hardest jobs all season is to narrow that down to the 16 events that I'm going to take to the state champs tournament. And then I also have 4 kids that will be going to the state festival, which is the same day at the same place. For those of you that are new to the showcase, I do this night for two reasons. The first one is that it allows these students to perform for their friends and their families, and also it is a great coaching tool for me because we videotape it, and we don't really videotape it throughout the season at all. This is supposed to be as ready as it gets right now, and then we take this tape and we work the next 2 weeks before state and try to get it as polished as we possibly can. So, some of the things that I've selected for you tonight are young, and some of them are my 4-year students, so you're going to get a good variety. Like I said, I could only pick so many to go to state, and tonight I could also only pick so many to perform. I got it down to 5 hours, so you actually I got it down under 2, so hopefully we'll get, if we keep it moving, we'll get out of here pretty quick. But what you're missing tonight, please notice on the back of your program, and that is all the events that have qualified that will not be performing tonight, so you can see what you're going to miss. We're going to begin tonight with a duet. This is Miss Ellie Labus, who is a 4-year senior for me this year. And Ellie has qualified 4 events for state, and she will be taking her duet, the duet that you're going to see now, and also her prose. She's going to go ahead and perform her prose tonight in place of Holly Gerke, who is on the program but was sick today at school, so she won't be here. Ellie has also a national qualifier in an event called Oral Interpretation of Literature, which is her prose and poetry, so you'll get to see one of those. Her partner tonight is a freshman, Kristen Line, who is a first-year freshman, and she is also qualified 3 events for state, and she's taken her duet and her oration. And she is also a national qualifier with an event called Oral Declamation. So, I will now turn it over to the girls.
Oh, is that him over there? No. Well, are you sure? It looks like him. Oh, it's nothing like him. Because if it's that Which names?
Seniors often do.
Where they can reflect on the important aspects of life.
Like, you mean the true meaning, the deep.
Yeah, the important stuff. Join us in the park in Sneeze by Frederick Strauble.
Oh!
What was that?
I almost sneezed.
You almost sneezed.
Yes, but I managed to hold it in.
Oh, what's the matter with you? Don't you know you should never hold in a sneeze?
But I always hold in my sneezes. I've been holding in my sneezes for 70 years.
Well, I've never heard you hold in a sneeze.
Well, that's because I hardly ever sneeze. But when I do sneeze, it's always an almost sneeze. It's just a polite thing to do.
Well, don't you know how dangerous that is? I mean, you could pop a blood vessel in your head and have a cerebral hemorrhage.
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen.
Maybe it already has. Oh, does your head feel funny?
Funny as in, ha-ha?
No. Funny as it riffles of blood seeping at your brain and soaking it like a sponge.
Oh, my head feels fine. That's just an old wives' tale.
Well, I am an old wife.
You're an old widow.
Oh, not necessarily. You know, they never found Joe's body, you know. He may turn up yet. That would be just like him. Just when I'm starting to relax.
Well, the way I see it, if God wants to pop my blood vessels, that's his business. But I'm not going to start worrying about sneezing now at my age.
Well, there are practical considerations, Martha. I mean, when you hold in a sneeze, slip out the other end. Your muscles get distracted and whoops. And it is no mild and squeaker either. Oh, no. It fires off like a pistol shot. And there is nothing polite about that.
Well, as my sainted mother always said, wherever you may be, you let your wind be free.
I shared an elevator with your mother once. Ooh-wee. That is an experience I've never quite shaken. Ooh. Oh, that's him over there. I know it's him. Look it.
That's not a hen, that's a female squirrel.
Well, how do you know?
I know, I can tell the sex of any animal just by looking at it. I can tell the sex of fish. Don't ask me how. It's a gift and a great burden.
Would you cut that out? You're giving me the willies.
I can't help it. This is how I sneeze. There must be pollen around here somewhere.
Well, one of these times your brain is going to pop right through your ears, and I don't want to be around to watch it. I would leave right now if it weren't for that squirrel I have to kill.
Nothing's going to happen to my brain, Abby. It's been the same for 70 years. Another thing they say, if you cross your eyes, they'll stay that way. Well, I've been crossing my eyes at parties and social gatherings for 70 years, and they're still straight as a string.
Oh, that's true. They say that if you eat bread crust, your hair will become curly. Well, I've been eating bread crust from here to Timbuktu, and look, not a curl. I should look like Shirley Temple by now. That was my dream.
Who were the old wives?
What?
The old wives, was it like a club?
Like an old wives' club?
Yeah, do you think all these old wives just sat around a table and came up with these tales, or was it just random old wives over the years, and then some bright fellow come along and put them all in a book or something?
Oh, I don't know.
'Cause I've never read it.
Neither have I.
And yet we both know
green and yellow skin-tight suit and throws over his silky cape. Running through the city, he hears screams flying through the air, and with his super speed, he takes off towards the disturbance. When he reaches the crowd of people, he sees a small boy trapped under a car, and with his super strength, he bends down, lifts the vehicle, and frees the child from his death. His hands placed on his hips, he smiles, that amazingly white teeth smile, and flies off into the moonlight. This was your typical superhero story. But what if it could be your typical day-to-day story? Okay, so we can't fly off into the moonlight, but we as human beings do indeed have superhuman powers. These powers revolve around the human emotion, fear. According to Psychology Today, many people think of fear as a negative, as something to be avoided. But fear can have powerful and positive effects on a person as well. Fear is evolution's way of keeping us alive in the face of danger. When unleashed, it can unlock abilities we never knew we had. Fear pulls out our stops, our jumps, and our turns to get us through obstacles in front of us. According to the English Language Dictionary, fear is a very powerful and misunderstood human emotion. It is the feeling of agitation and anxiety when in the presence of danger. Today we will take a closer look at fear's effect on the human experience. First, we will see what type of superpowers we receive. Then we will move on to fear in relation to adrenaline. And finally, we will look at how to control one of these adrenaline rushes. Let's begin by looking at the different type of superpowers we receive when we are afraid. Many people will refer to this as the fight or flight concept. We use this concept when our lives or the lives of others are in danger. The word flight in this phrase means to run or use your super speed. Say you're sitting on the couch alone in the dark. The back door slams open. You jump to your feet, ready to bolt for the front door if anybody comes in. When you realize that it was just the wind, you take a deep breath and are relieved that nobody was there to see your ridiculous reaction. But what if this reaction isn't so ridiculous? A person's first reaction to fear is to leave the situation. You read those comic books and watch those TV shows about superheroes having the superpower of speed. Zoom, for example, running across the street, his feet barely touching the ground. Wouldn't we all just love to have that superpower? We wouldn't be late for work, for school, or any other activity for that matter. The word fight in the phrase flight or fight is pretty much self-explanatory. It means to stand your ground and fight, using your super strength, of course. When we hear the word super strength, we probably think of the Incredible Hulk. Big, huge, enormous, buff, and green. Now you may not be big, huge, enormous, buff, or green, but neither was Tom Boyle. In the summer of 2006, Boyle saw it, the crumpled up frame of a bicycle trapped underneath a car, and within it, a boy. That's when Boyle got out and started running. The Camaro sped on, forcing an agonizing eternity, but when it came to a stop, Boyle bent down, ripped the bumper, and lifted with everything he had. Boyle is proud to have saved a life, but one thing he can't understand is how he managed to lift a vehicle. Boyle let fear enter his mind, allowing him to tap into his super strength. Now that you know what type of superpowers we receive, how is it possible? Adrenaline. That's the key. Adrenaline is a hormone released when fear enters our mind. When we get an adrenaline rush, we get that butterfly feeling in the pit of our stomachs. We feel more awake, in tune to our surroundings, maybe even excited and full of energy. Just imagine, you're standing on stage, ready for your big performance, in front of hundreds of people. You get that nervous feeling. That feeling is a hint of adrenaline. Maybe not enough to lift a vehicle, but enough to nail your performance. Those of us who aren't nervous before a performance are more likely to mess up than those of us who are. In a case where we use the flight, we see through what is called tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is the availability to seemingly slow down time through our eyes, but everybody else sees us moving extremely fast, aka super speed. Nolan Kohler, an Idaho bow hunter, was able to experience this while sitting under a tree, hoping to spot an elk. A bear came out of the brush, saw him, and charged. The bear was moving too quickly for the average person to react, but because Kohler let fear enter his mind, adrenaline was set off, he was able to pull back his bow, shoot, and save his life. Unfortunately, the effects of adrenaline don't last long, and they have consequences. For a few days after Cole's experience, his arms and legs ached so badly he could barely move. And Boyle, the man who saved the biker, had clenched his jaw so hard while lifting the vehicle, he shattered 8 of his teeth. Now that you know how this is possible, let's see how to control one of these adrenaline rushes. When we get an adrenaline rush, we as human beings have little control over our emotions. If an adrenaline rush gets out of control, we can have fights escalate, cause sleeping problems, and concentration issues. Depending on the reason for the body's outside stimulus, there are various ways to control an adrenaline rush. First of all, go to the gym for a nice and relaxing workout. Doing this will get rid of your adrenaline rush and put you back under control of something you didn't think you had control over. Second of all, control your breathing. Each breath you take should be taken in and let out nice and slowly, allowing your body's response to fear to react in a more sophisticated manner. And finally, simply count to 10. It takes 3 minutes for an adrenaline rush to take over your body, but only 2 minutes to put you back into your own shoes. In conclusion, today I have told you what type of superpowers we can receive, how it's possible, and finally, how to control an adrenaline rush. So, if you really think about it, maybe superheroes aren't that brave and strong and fast. They're just big, giant, scary cats. So maybe you guys should throw over your skin-tight suit and throw over your silky cape, because you never know. You just might have to be our world's next superhero. Thank you.
All right, our next performer is Eileen Price. Eileen is a first-year sophomore. She has qualified in 2 events for state, and she'll be taking both her prose and her poetry. She's also a national qualifier in oral interpretation, oral interpretation of literature, which is oral, which is her prose and poetry. So she'll be taking those to nationals too. She'll do her poetry tonight. Okay.
I am hiding in my special place, listening. Papa says we must leave Lord right away. The city is unsafe for Jews. Jews? What does it matter that we are Jews?
The following free-verse poem is the story of a little girl named Sylvia Perlette, who lives in the Lutz Ghetto during World War II. She does not want to recount these devastating memories, but this story was demanding to be told. It is entitled Yellow Star by Jennifer Roy.
Yellow is the color of the 6-pointed star that is sewn onto my coat. It is the law that all Jews have to wear the Star of David. Sometimes I wish I could rip the star off, because yellow is meant to be a happy color, not the color of hate. I am walking into the ghetto, and my sister holds my hand so that I don't get lost or trampled by the crowd of people wearing yellow stars. A fence has been built around us, and the ghetto is now a cage with iron wires, and we are sealed in. Bad news. The Nazis have made a new announcement. All Jewish children must report to the train station for deportation immediately. The soldiers are going door to door, ripping the children from their parents' arms. If my parents try to stop the soldiers, bang! The soldiers will shoot them dead. Almost 2 years go by. Days of hiding turn into weeks, and then months. Each day seems the same, and we are all weak. The Nazis ordered the Lodz ghetto to be emptied of people. Residents of Lodz were transported out of the ghetto in crowded freight trains. Their destination was a switch, but approximately 1,200 Jews were left behind in the ghetto to clean it up. Everybody out! This time, everybody, includes my family and me. We stand in a line. Next! The soldier then points to the right. Dora, Mother, and I, well, Nina! The soldier looked at me. What do I do? Then Papa leaves the group on the right and takes my hand. The Nazis wave us to the left. All Jews, except for those on the list, must report to the train station tomorrow morning at 7. Which is the list? Who's on the list? Those were the people sent to the right side. But Papa was on the right side. Papa said he would only stay if all of us were put on the list. Right side stays, left side trains. My family's walking through the streets with hundreds of other people, everyone moving in the same direction. The Nazis are so busy, they won't notice one small family quietly leave. We will act as if we are workers. Papa speaks confidentially, around to the side of one building, through a side door, down the stairway, and into a cellar. Oh, this is no ordinary cellar. There are children in this cellar. There are other children still alive in the ghetto. Papa nods. They have been hidden too. We are the children of the cellar. Family visits are a gift from above. Every day I get to be with my parents and sister. And in the ghetto, that is more than luck. It's a miracle. But I'm tired. As I start to doze off, I'm awakened by the sounds of heavy footsteps. Suddenly the door swings open and down the stairway come giant boots with uniforms and swastikas. The Nazis are in the cellar. One soldier grabs my arm and yanks me up. I mean, dragged up the stairs. You are a big man with guns. I am one little girl. What could I possibly do to you? The Nazi pulling on my arm suddenly stops. I wait for death. Nothing happens. The waiting becomes too much to bear. As I open my eyes, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. There before us, in a half circle surrounding the doorway, are the grown-ups. The crowd stands as one. The Nazis seem unsure of what to do. Certainly they have guns, but they are outnumbered by hundreds of people. The grown-ups saved us. A few days have passed since the Nazis found us, and today a German soldier who was drunk came up to Papa and said, "Tomorrow, all the Jews will be killed." The panic I hear in the grown-ups' voices makes me want to cover my ears. "Quiet," says Papa, and everybody falls silent. Boom! Boom! It bombs! It's the war! It has come here! They are bombing blocks! What do we do now? Where do we go? Run to the courtyard, quick, go! Whistling bombs start falling around us, and Papa starts to say a prayer. But then, there are no more planes. No more sounds. Somehow they missed us. It's a celebration until someone shouts, "Men are coming! This is not fair! We have tried so hard to stay alive. It just can't end this way." Papa lifts me up. We see men on horses? The Russians. I'm close enough to the front to see the Russian's face. And when I look into his eyes, I'm shocked. The Russian soldier is crying. He is Jewish too. We are free now. We can go home. Papa returns from talking to the soldiers. I have a wonderful story to tell you. The Russian soldier that was up in the planes dropping the bomb on the ghetto, well, his plane shone down on our stars of day, and he immediately ordered his troops to stop bombing that area. I look down at my yellow star, and my heart aches with joy that my family is still alive. Come on, Sylvia, we are going home. We step out of the ghetto to the rest of our lives.
Next performer is Sheena Baker. Sheena is a freshman, a first year forensic student performing, and she has qualified her solo humorist for state, and she'll be performing that for you this evening.
the day, embarrassed to go to the gym,
The grocery store?
well, what a way does our ugliness making you feel whole again? Just one drop a day melts your heart away. Roselda finds being a teenage witch, mainstreamed in the public school system, a bit of a challenge. The warts, the broom, it's hard to fit in. Watch as she finds out if it's worth giving up her true identity to fit in. And the broom you rode in on by Jerry Rabushka. Look, I'm a witch, okay? Warts are genetic, and we think they're attractive. And that was until they tried to mainstream me into a public school system. I'm like, why not just put me in a vat and boil me now? These people were ghastly, not a blotch on their faces. Okay, there was this one girl, Laura Sue Jurgensen. She had this acne problem, but they solved it for her. I mean, they made her invisible and no one talked to her or helped her with her homework. And there were several tables at lunch where the top of combo was Laura Sue Jurgensen's acne. And my warts. I started to feel, well, unsightly. I came home one day and I'm like, Mom! 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 I have warts! And she was all, Roselda, you're a witch. Ugly, pretty, and you're beautiful. But, Mom, I've got this giant thing on the tip of my nose. It's like a raisin. Oh, I had that when I was a girl. But I lost it in that meat cutter accident. And now I'm repulsive. Mom didn't get witches just can't mainstream. Oh, and that broom thing. No, I will not sweep the hallway. This is a sophisticated transportation vehicle. No, I will not take you to band practice. I don't care if you are late. I mean, why should I? If Sky Bridges was late to band practice one more time, they demoted to last year in the clarinet section. She'd have to sit next to Laura Sue Jurgensen. She'd actually have to acknowledge her existence on the planet. But then, the principal and the guidance counselor called me in. The principal went first. Whoa, Zelda. We'd prefer if you simply walked to class instead of flying around on some broom. It's giving the other students a complex. But they need a complex. I have complexes too. I mean, no one talks to me because they have warts. No. They don't talk to you because you cast a spell on the class president. Well, yeah, I did do that. But still, the guy was a jerk. The guidance counselor tried a different tactic. Roselda, dear, have you ever heard of waterway? Just one drop a day, melt your waterway. I know appearance isn't everything, but in your case, appearance is everything. This is high school. I reminded her as if she wasn't permanently living that dream. Like the appearance of my clothing. The goth kids hated on me, as if I was trying to be like them. This emo girl stopped cutting herself long enough to look at me and whine. Like, what are you trying to do? Imitate us? Like, I want to, like, own my own misery without you horning in on it. Like, trying to adopt the look without the corresponding depression. And I just hope you know how insulting that is. Which is where black. It's not a choice, it's a heritage. But don't worry, we only eat children smaller than ourselves. The cauldron pretty much just boiled over when I had it out with my English teacher about Macbeth. Okay, Shakespeare's portrayal of witches is stereotypical
Melt your words away.
I raised my hands to my face, and it felt smooth. So smooth. And I walked out of there just as proud can be. And I smiled at a boy. And he actually smiled back at me. And when I got home, I went upstairs in my bathroom. My hands shook. My heart pounded. I closed my eyes, leaned over the sink, took a deep breath, and all I could think when I saw myself was, "Ah!"
Ollie Lavis will perform her.
Don't you just hate it when your ride breaks down and dies? Well, buying a new one can be such a hassle, not to mention confusing. In the following selection, Gritch the Witch goes on a quest to find a replacement for her zoo broom by the renowned children's author Margie Pelletini. Gritch the Witch plunked down in her batwing chair with a dusty kerplunk. She propped up her tootsies, uncurled her toes, then warmed those 13 delicate digits by the roaring fire. Gritch dumped a biscotti into a bubbling blue espresso and crunched down the cookie with her good front tooth. These crispy winged cookies are so tasty! But as tasty as they were, Gritch's belly still grumbled for something more. A nibble that was just a bit more filling, fattening, furry. Yes, rabbit rye. She knew just where to find those jumping jackrabbits, too. Gritch grabbed her hat, to a brown get a whistle, and away they all flew like... Huh? There's a teeny little problem! Gritch stalled in midair. The broom just couldn't get it in gear. The stick was stuck. It gave out a long, gasping, gurgling gurgle. Did one loop-de-loop and tailspin toward ground zero. What the? Whoa! Hey! 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 Kaboom! Hey! She wobbled and hobbled over to what was left of her old broomstick. It was not a pretty sight. Oh, now what am I gonna do? Forget snaring hares and baking a batch of bunny bread. Those twisted tails would have to wait. This witch needed a broom. A broom that zipped, zapped, and zoomed. Now where can I get one of those? Gritch wondered as she tapped her lucky wart. Who can I turn to? Gritch fingered through her address book. The Witch of the West? Maybe I could borrow a broom from her. Oh no, poor dear had a meltdown. The Witch of the East? Oh no, she had one of those awful house accidents. Aha! Yes, the Witch in the Woods. She never leaves that sweet little cottage of hers. I'll borrow a broom from her. That shouldn't be a problem. A problem. Uh-oh. I can't go over there. She has those kids, Hansel and Gretel, living with her. Yeesh. They look at me the way I look at them. Yikes. Gritch decided it was best not to borrow a broom. She would just buy one. So she huffed on over to Foxy's for the best deal in town. Well, how do you do it? Welcome to you. The salesman rushed up to Gritch before Big Toe hit the showroom floor. Looking for some new transportation, are you? Well, you've come to the right place. I can see your relative quality, distinction, definite taste. Hold your sloppy choppers right there, bud. I want a broom. Oh, don't say another word. I know just what you're looking for. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna roll out the red carpet for you. Yes, sirree. Looky here, straight from a land in the east. It's plush. It's lush. Tassel-free. You'll feel like you're floating on air. A rug? I don't want a rug. Okie dokie, little lady. Okie dokie. You say no rug? Then no rug. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Just until midnight. This special little number right here, fit for a princess. What's that you say? Don't like the color orange? For you, we can paint it. We can paint it. A pumpkin? I don't want a pumpkin. Absolutely, little lady, absolutely. You say no pumpkin, then no pumpkin. The vegetable look doesn't appeal you.
is a Zoom broom. That's right.
What's right?
That's right. Right on the left.
Left? How many old brooms are left, you flim-flamming fleecer? I want a new one. Give me one.
Anything you say, madam. It'll wrap up the which one.
Which one? Anyone? That one.
Oh, you want that broom. So you want two.
Two? I don't want two. What would I do with two brooms? I want one broom. One.
All right, little lady. Then it's which one?
That's what I'm asking you. Which one? Give me such a problem.
Perhaps, lady, you should forget the broom.
Forget the broom. Hello. I need a broom, you ninny. I'm a witch, remember?
Oh, so you're a witch. So what?
So what? So what? So what? Wait a minute. You're right. So what?
After all, she thought, even broom zip, zap, and zoom was probably just too old-fashioned for a witch with her style. While with her brains, beauty, and talent, she can make anything fly.
Okay there, Foxy. Give me something hip, something hot, something happening.
A classic. It's you, Gerda. Take it for a spin. Fox dangled the key.
Spin. Under my spell, this baby's greased lightning.
Top down.
The only way to fly.
I must warn you, little lady, it gets a bit chilly out there with the top down, and I see you don't have a coat.
Don't worry about me. I'll think of something. Foxy, no problem. No problem at all. Zoom.
Performer is Miss Danae Line. She is a third-year junior performing this year, and she has qualified 3 events for state. She will be taking her informative and her oration. She's also a national qualifier with this oration at Miss Danae.
Do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to love and cherish, for rich or for poor, poor, in sickness and in health, sick, who do I look like, Mother Teresa? As long as you both shall live. That's a long time. The wedding day. For some, it's the greatest day of their lives. For others, it's the beginning of the end. The latest trend, however, entirely avoiding going to the chapel and getting married. According to a 2010 study by the Pew Grant Research Center, 39% of Americans say that marriage has become obsolete, overrated, pointless. And you know what? They have a point. As society has evolved, so has marriage. But unfortunately, along the way, marriage has lost the sacred significance it once had. To fully understand how this change has impacted our society, we'll have to begin by looking at the historical basis of marriage. Then I'll continue by explaining how important marriage was to the American dream. And finally, I'll discuss why more Americans today are labeling marriage obsolete. Let's begin by looking at marriage from the beginning. Most of us are familiar with the rhyme, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby in the baby carriage. This was not always the case. Love used to have nothing to do with why people tied the knot. Men and women had greater concerns: economic stability and reproduction. Marriage, pretty much a business negotiation. Men would provide for their wives basic necessities like food and shelter, and in exchange, women would provide the heirs to their husband's throne. And these obligations were taken seriously. What were some of the consequences for not holding up your end of the bargain? Well, in the case of Anne Boleyn, you lose your head. Literally. In May of 1536, Anne Boleyn was executed by her husband, King Henry VIII of England, only months after her second miscarriage. Now, even though these relationships sound rather hollow, marriage was still a life commitment. A tie not easily broken. Some couples wouldn't even separate in death. For example, in ancient Indian culture, widowed wives would that engulfed their dead husbands at the funeral, a practice known as sooty. With that traumatizing image in mind, let's jump forward to marriage in the early 1900s, where it underwent some drastic changes. In 1933, sociologist William Osborne noticed how people were paying more attention to the personalities of their potential mates. Later, in 1945, sociologists Harvey Locke and Ernest Burgess noticed how people were expecting more affection, understanding, and compatibility in their marriages. In other words, people were placing new significance on love. Since women no longer needed husbands to eat, and men no longer needed wives to reproduce, yes, bastard children did become more socially acceptable, people had to find a new reason to get married. Love soon became, and is still today, the only socially acceptable reason to get married. Any woman still trying to marry for economic stability would be condemned gold digger. And I'm going to be wary of any man who wants to marry me because I look fertile. Unfortunately, around the time that love was introduced into their marriage, so was divorce. According to the U.S. Census, the number of divorces started to jump from virtually non-existent pre-1900s to 500,000 by 1945. At first, sociologists thought this to be a good sign. It meant that people weren't trapped in unhappy or even abusive relationships. Since people were placing more importance on a good marriage now, sociologists predicted that eventually the divorce rate would slow down and the only marriages left would be happy ones. After all you need is love, right, Paul McCartney? Let's move on to how marriage became part of the American dream. In our society, where independence is a virtue, one might expect that marriage, which is dependence any way you look at it, would soon become unpopular. But up until just recently, it hadn't. In 1993, the University of Michigan conducted a study on high school seniors and asked them to rank 14 life goals based on their importance. What did 78% of the seniors agree topped the list above having a good job and making lots of money? Having a good marriage and family life. But what made marriage so important? The only answer I can come up with? The American dream. Now I know it sounds like a bad cliche, but marriage was so deeply rooted into our idea of the American dream that for us to just give it up so easily was unthinkable. Even though couples were no longer marrying for economic stability and reproduction, doesn't mean they weren't still worried about these things. People still wanted a house, kids, a white picket fence perhaps, and a better tomorrow. America was built on the backs of families striving for these ideals, and if they cut marriage out of the equation, they were afraid they wouldn't be able to achieve these ideals. Without marriage, how would our children be affected? According to a 1990 study published in a journal on family and marriage, children that grew up having parents that were married to one another had fewer discipline problems and were 37% more likely to graduate high school. With both a daddy to play good cop and a mother to play bad cop, or vice versa, Junior became a well-rounded individual. Without marriage, how would our money be affected? With both men and women in the workplace now, married couples were still more economically stable than single people. According to the 1990 study, the average married man's salary nearly doubled that of a single man. And that doesn't even include his wife's salary. Married couples even share secure relationships than those who just live together. Married couples are 38% less likely to cheat on one another and 30% less likely to have arguments that turn violent. Seth Eisenberg, CEO of the nation's largest relationship education operation, compares marriage to glue and living together to Velcro. The sticky commitment of marriage, he says, actually enables a couple to build their better tomorrow. And finally, let's look at why more Americans today are finding marriage to be obsolete. Despite sociologists' highest hopes, the divorce rate never slowed down. According to the U.S. Census, the current divorce rate stands at nearly 50% of American marriages ending in divorce. Marriage has become as reliable as the flip of a coin, heads or tails. But the reason the divorce rate has remained so high? People confuse love with constant happiness. Once the original passion of love is gone, if no other ties have been formed, a couple will separate. which explains why in 2004, USA Today reported that 35% of couples don't even make it to their 10th anniversary. With a failure rate like that, what are modern couples to do? They're realizing they can keep the love and lose the commitment. According to a 2010 study by the Washington Post, nearly 7.5 million American households are headed by cohabiting or unwedded couples, a huge leap from the 2.7 million 14 years earlier in 1996. Of the 7.5 million, 36% never intend on getting married. Their argument? Why should they? Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? In 2002, the National Marriage Project interviewed men ages 25 to 35 for reasons they were putting off marriage. Some of the responses: divorce has too many financial risks. They can enjoy the benefits of having a wife by cohabiting. And sex? It's almost easier to get outside of marriage than it is to get inside. Well, that would explain why the U.S. Census also reports that 1 out of every 3 babies born today is born to a single mother. So what is the woman's side of the issue? I will survive! Takes on a whole new meaning. They don't need a man to provide for them. It took way too long for women to earn their independence from men. And women of today aren't about to give that independence up so easily. So it seems to me, couples of the past have too much to lose if they didn't get married. Couples of today lose too much if they do. So, in this ever-changing world, has the expected and traditional practice of, as long as you both shall live, become obsolete? For those fearing commitment, yes. However, there's so many of us who still think that marriage is something worth fighting for. It all comes down to making a decision. A decision of whether you're willing to sacrifice your own individual happiness for a united happiness between you and your partner. For those not ready to make that sacrifice, don't go walking down that aisle. However, if like me, you're still searching for true commitment and a better tomorrow, there's only one thing left to say. I do. Thank you.
Your next performer is Hunter Clark. Hunter is a second-year junior who's qualified 3 events for state. He's going to take his oration, and he's also going to take his prose that you're going to see tonight.
The best day of my life happened when I was 5, and I almost died at Disney World. I'm 16 now, so you can imagine that's left me with quite a few days of major suckage. Career day, dodgeball, pep rallies. But back to the best day of my life, Disney, and my near-death experience. I know what you're thinking. Who dies at Disney World? It's full of spinning teacups and magical princesses and chipmunks walking around waving like it's absolutely normal for jumbo-sized stuffed animals to come to life and pose for photo ops. Like, seriously. As a child, Cameron just wants to have fun. Spend a good day at Disney World with his family while on vacation. He anticipated the long lines, the great rides, the sugar overload, but he never expected a near-death experience. The following selection is taken from the novel Going Bovine by Libba Bray. I don't remember a whole lot about it. Like I said, I was 5. I do remember that it was hot. Surreal hot. The kind of hot that makes people shell out their life savings for a bottle of water. Even the stuffed animals started looking like furry POWs on a forced march through Toonland. That's how we ended up on the subterranean It's a Small World ride, and how I nearly bit it at the place where America goes for fun. I don't know if you've ever experienced a Small World ride. Well, here's a brief sum up. Long wait, incredibly slow-moving line. Then you're put on a floating barge instead of drift on a river that winds through a smiling underworld animatronic kids from every country on the planet, singing along in their various native tongues to the extremely catchy, upbeat song. Na 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 na. Did I mention it's a 10-minute ride of the same song in English, Spanish, Swahili, and Japanese? I'm not gonna lie to you. I loved it! Dude, I said to myself, this is awesome! I want to live in this new utopia of singing children of all nations. With luck, the Mexican kids will let me wear their Key Festival sombreros. Ole! Bonjour! Bienvenido! Guten Tag! Jumbo! I was the three people who were my world. Mom, Dad, and my twin sister, Gina. And for one crazy moment, we were all laughing and smiling and sharing the same experience. It was good. Maybe it was too good, because I started to get scared. I don't know how exactly I made the connection, but right around Iceland, apparently I got the idea that this was the afterlife. Sure, I had heat stroke and hadn't eaten enough sugar to induce coma. But really, it makes sense in a weird way. It's dark, it's creepy, and suddenly everybody's getting along a little too well, singing the same song. Maybe it had to do with my mom. She used to teach English classics heavy on the mythology, and liked to pepper her bedtime stories with occasional bits about the river Styx leading to the underworld. Wah ha 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 ha. And other cheery sweet dreams matter. Whatever it was, I was convinced that this ride was where you went to die. I'd be separated from my family forever and end up in some part of the underworld where smiling kid robots and boater hats sing nonstop in Portuguese. I had to keep that from happening. And then, oh happy day! Salvation! Right behind the Eskimo igloo, I saw this little door. Mommy! Mommy! Where does that little door go to? I don't know, honey. We were headed for certain death on the river Styx, but somehow I knew if I could just get to that little door, everything would be okay. I could stop the ride and save us all. Da-da-da-da. That was pretty much it for me. My 5-year-old freak-out made her totally trick. I slipped free of the seat and splashed into the fishy-smelling water. The thing is, I didn't know how to swim yet. But apparently I was pretty good at sinking. You know that warning about how kids can drown in very little water? True. If a kid panics and forgets to close his mouth, you can imagine my surprise. The last thing I remember before I started to lose consciousness was my mom screaming, "Ah! Stop her ride!" while crushing Jenna to her chest in case she got the urge to jump too. Above me, lights and sound blended into a wavy distortion, muted like a carnival heard from a mile away. And then I heard the weirdest thought. They're stopping the ride. I got them to stop the ride. I don't remember a whole lot after that. The story goes that my dad dove in, pulled me out, dropping me right beside the igloo, and administered CPR. The official Disney cast members scampered along the narrow ridge of Eskimo, soon-to-be Inuit land, yammering into their walkie-talkies, "The situation is under control." Slack-jawed tourist app photos, an official Disney ambulance came and whisked me away to ER, where I was pronounced pukey, but okay. We went back to the park for free. I guess they were afraid we'd sue, and I got to go on the rides as much as I wanted. Everybody was just so glad that I was alive. It was the best vacation we ever took. Of course, I think it was the last vacation we ever took. It was Mom who tried to get the answer out of me later.
Cameron, why did you jump into the water, honey? Did the ride scare you? Oh, honey, you know it's not real, don't you? It's just a ride.
Just a ride.
Hi, this is Anna Trahan, and she's hired 3 events. She's taking her serious solo to state, and that's what she's going to perform for you tonight.
Time can lose all structure. It can turn to mush. And it did. I don't know how many weeks passed, or months, or years, or maybe it was decades, before I came out of whatever time had become. And I realized the silence. And I saw that that silence had come from Leo, and how he moved within it. Deep embedded sorrow can cripple the heart as well as the soul of anguished parents after the death of a child. In the following section, Elizabeth and Leo are only one chapter in the remarkable novel, The River Warren by Kent Myers. I didn't care at first. Losing a child is the worst thing in the world. Chris, my baby. If it's made worse by someone else's guilt and blame, it doesn't matter. It's already as bad as it can be. But the first day I tasted food, I cared. I made a hot dish and it tasted bland. I was surprised to notice I hadn't for so long. Then I felt guilty for noticing that the taste of food should matter. And I felt scared. I stared at my food for a while and silently said, I'll never stop missing you, baby. I'll never stop grieving. Then I pushed my chair back and got the salt and pepper from the lights above the stove. I sprinkled salt on my food, and a silence so great. I heard the tiny crystals strike the edge of the plate. The world is irresistible. It began to come back to me, no matter how hard I tried to hold it off. First, the taste of food, then sunsets, shadows, the song of the meadowlark. But also, I noticed that Leo didn't. We never talked about it. He wouldn't. He talked of other things as if Chris had never died. Crops, weather, people. As if they were unchanged in his mind. As if they mattered in the old way. I became jealous of his joylessness. I knew where it came from. I knew he blamed himself, that it was guilt and not just grief that held the world away from him. But it angered me, and his silence angered me, in the way he seemed to feel nothing. There had been flights of geese flying south. The sound paralyzed me. With so much longing and so much loss, I couldn't cry or move or speak. It slammed a memory into my heart of standing with Chris and watching geese together. I listened until the sound faded. I couldn't look up at first, but then I gave in. Then I looked up at the empty curve of the sky. I realized that until that moment, I had not known the magnitude of his absence. I never again watched his face turn to the sky again. I heard footsteps behind me and saw Leo walking across the gravel towards me. His head was down, watching
watching his boots. He hadn't even heard the geese. And somehow, in spite of my own hurt, I felt sorry for him. Standing under the empty sky, with the sound of Chris's absence still hollow in my ears, and with the realization that all my life the world would find ways to strike me with it, to hurt me out of memory, I known that I was all right, that was the way it had to be. And then I known that Leo was the one who needed help to bring his face back up, away from his boots, to where it could be struck by the world. I ran to the pickup. I didn't know what I was going to do, but when I opened the door, I saw a metal pipe sticking out under the seat. I snatched it up, turned back around, gripping both hands. No, Leo! He stopped when I lifted the pipe. I don't know if it would have hit him. I don't know. Elizabeth! The pipe is heavy. I let it swing up, and suddenly two lights come together. The silver light of the galvanized pipe and the white light of the charger's headlight. It seemed to me, as I ran, that they were slowly darting towards each other, and then the light was shattering and going everywhere. I swung the pipe again. The first time, it seemed to do it by itself. And now, I knew. And I swung it hard and deliberately, full of anger and full of grief. The second headline on that side smashed and exploded. I bent back to the plow, raising the pipe over my head and smashed it down again and again. And it felt so good against the square steel beam. I heard my name spoken twice, quietly and clearly. Lisbeth. Lisbeth. His voice came from behind me as I was lifting the pipe to strike again. And it seemed like the only sound in the world. I knew I had broken through. I was to him what the geese had been to me. Something he couldn't help but notice. You can't hurt the plow, Lisbeth. Just can't be done, baby. I looked at the steel beam I'd been pounding. My arms trembled from exhaustion. The beam had a few scratches in the paint. That's all. And then we were laughing. I hated it because it felt so good to laugh, to hear him laugh. It felt terrible because it felt good. I wanted to stop. He couldn't either. Then the good and the terrible changed and got mixed up, and somehow we were crying and laughing again and crying. Finally, we stopped, out of breath and looking at each other. And then he reached out and took me in his arms and drew me into his smell of land, sweat, and machine oil, all hot from the sun in his body. I didn't tell him what I'd done. I didn't tell him that I was that part of his world that was irresistible. No, I just sat into his shoulder. I miss him. I'll bear your grief. I'll live with that. But I won't bear your guilt. He drew a deep breath, and I felt it in my chest through his. It trembled in both of us. I feel guilty. You're not, baby. You're not. I know, Lisbeth. I know.
Next performer is Spencer Roy. Spencer is a second-year senior from this year, and he has qualified 2 events for state, and he is going to be taking his solo cameras.
years, she's come in here, she looks me in the face, she smooths down her hair, and she pinches up her cheeks to give them a little blush, and she asks me, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And I look at her, my eyes wide with admiration. I smile hugely and I say, you are the fairest in the land." But lately, things have been different. Lately, my eyes still wide, my huge smile now faked. My voice goes up an octave when I say, you are the fairest in the land." Imagine a job where you cannot lie to your boss, and where your boss is a tyrant, and you literally live in fear of being smashed every day. This is the life of a mirror, but not just any mirror, but the one in Snow White. It's time we heard the story from the mirror standpoint in Speaking Truth to Power, The Mirror's Tale by Edith Weiss. She thinks it's because I'm in awe of her beauty. No. The truth is, I'm scared. If I say something she doesn't want to hear, she'll throw me to the ground till I shatter into 1,000 shards. Sure, she'll get 7 years of bad luck, but when you're the queen of all the land, you have the means to deal with a little bit of bad luck. I, on the other hand, will be nothing but little glittering pieces of glass waiting to be swept up in the dustbin. And I, like the famed and foolish Humpty Dumpty of yore, cannot be put back together again. For a while, I was almost glad to see her. It was a little bit of company, and it wasn't a chore, because it was true. She was the fairest in the land. More beautiful than Bertha the baker, who had an unfortunate clumping of facial warts and a unibrow. No contest with the girls who harvest the crops, whose faces were red and swollen from the sun, and whose hands were the size of hams. And toothless Pat, whose teeth all rotted out from all the sweets she stole from the kitchen. But one day, a while ago, Snow White happened by me. And she looked me in the face, and then she saw a bird out the window, and then she smiled. Oh, I was breathless. What a smile. What a kind, joyous smile. And for the first time in my life, I had seen true beauty. You see, the queen never really smiles. No, she's afraid it'll give her wrinkles. With a real smile, the whole face smiles. The eyes crinkle, the cheeks bunch up. The queen can't have that. Crow's feet and deep nasolabial folds, that won't do for our regal queen. The horror, she's practiced the lower face smile in front of me. Smile with teeth together, lips apart. Hideous. Smile with teeth apart. Ludicrous. Smile with teeth together, lips together. Not good. Smile with teeth apart. Idiotic. So the queen left off smiling forever. Not that she ever frowns either. The whole point is to never use her facial muscles. So as other people have a face in front of their heads, she has this unmoving queen mask. Smooth, perfect, nothing at all like a real human face. As of late, she's been having procedures. A lot of them. Liposuction, cellulite reduction, and then lasered, toned, and tightened. Her skin stretched and stitched. Oh, horrifying. And my blood runs cold at the thought that sometime soon, maybe a year or two, she'll realize she's not the fairest in the land, and I think it's making her. Yesterday, after the usual mirror, mirror bit, she asked me casually as she's straightening her gown, "Mirror, look hen, look yon, am I more beautiful than the dawn?" Mind you, she doesn't get up before noon, so last time she saw dawn, she was in diapers. Yes, the dawn. I stalled for time. I don't really know where hen and yon are. Hen is here and yawn is there. And then she actually frowned. And she moved towards the window and she called me a reflecting circle of stupidity. I didn't think it was wise to tell her it was her I was reflecting, so I kept my mouth shut, but a million thoughts were racing through my head. The dawn. What could be more beautiful than the dawn? The morning russet mantle-clad dawn. The rosy-fingered dawn that comes with silver-sandaled feet dawn. That comes to dispel the night dawn. That warms and heats the earth and allows us all to live dawn. What could be more beautiful than the dawn? But I had to say something, so I cleared my throat. It's hard to say. Her head went around so fast that I thought her queen mask would come flying off. But then I realized it wasn't a mask. It was her face, and it was attached to her forehead. She grunted, and she rushed over in front of my face, panting so hard that I got all clouded over. It's hard to say because I'm smudged. And then, with the sleeve of her gown and her well-toned elbow, she rubbed and she buffed and she muttered and huffed until I shone like sparkling new snow in the moonlight. I gotta tell you, it hurt. I think I have abrasions. And then, never taking your eyes off me, she stepped back. So I am more beautiful than the dawn? You do remember that a mirror cannot lie, right? So I said, and I thought I was being so clever. The sun may rise, the sun may set, it reflects your beauty, don't forget. She wouldn't let it go. So I am more beautiful than the dawn? Is that what you're saying, mirror? What could I say? So I took a deep breath to keep my voice from squealing. The sun tries too hard. I did it! I managed to piece her giant, obscene ego once again. But for how long? Soon she'll see the way that other people look at Snow White and not at her. Her vanity won't be able to take it. Next she'll get mad. Really mad. Homicide committing. Mad. Trust me, you don't look into somebody's eyes for years and years and not know that their soul is like a twisted brown butternut gourd that's been left in the root cellar too long. But then she'll blame me for not warning her. But what's worse is what she might do to Snow White. Makes me want to hurl myself off the wall and shatter to pieces, but a mirror can't do that. It's not in a mirror's nature. A mirror can only reflect what it sees and has no choice but to speak truth to power.
Your next performer is Christian Arzano, and he is going to perform his oration for you tonight. He's qualified 3 events for state and has chosen to do this one.
Frank was sitting in a coffee shop, enjoying a cup of coffee, when this beautiful Italian supermodel walks up to him and says, "Ciao, sapere dove Ivanue?" Without knowing what to say, poor Frank thought, "Will you marry me?" But her father next to her said, "Un milione di dollari, eh?" It's not every day that a beautiful supermodel asks, "Where's the restroom?" But this one did, and poor Frank had no clue of what she was asking. But so many other Americans would not know what she is saying either. According to the Huffington Post, only 17% of Americans are bilingual, compared to the 56% of Europeans. I find this staggering. You see, monolinguals are impeding their advantages in life and hindering their success, all due to a lack of respect for being bilingual. Personally, I believe this lies in our past. In the 1960s, English was the most widely spoken and written language of the world. with about 1/4 of the world speaking it. Also, 77% of all media was in English. This is all according to Lincoln Barnett, a notable editor for Life magazine. But learning English is not benefiting us in the way it used to. Although it is the top 2 languages, the others are gaining. So we need to change our reluctancy to learn a foreign language. Today I'll be discussing the problems we face over not learning a foreign language. I'll move on to show you the impacts of being monolingual, and then provide a solution to fix our problem. So let's begin by looking at fundamental problems here in America. And I believe we have 3 major language problems. 1, we have a lack of respect for being bilingual. 2, we create prejudices out of it. And 3rd, it is all due to our misguided approach in education. And so to begin, let me just say that Americans are crooked heads. But let me explain. The Vidahan are an Amazonian tribe in South America. They've been spoken about in numerous scientific journals and the New Yorker because they don't communicate outside of their little world. They don't receive help from missionaries or government assistance. And so when researchers came to study the Vidahan, they would say, who is the crooked head over there? Because they didn't understand the English language, and they didn't like it a whole lot either. But Americans are the same way in our thinking. Although the United States has such a high level of immigrated citizens, we choose to push them to the side and only speak with English speakers because it's more comfortable. In doing so, we start the wheels to creating prejudices. Perhaps you go to Walmart and you see that group of foreign speakers, and you turn up your nose to them and think, well, why can't they just learn our language? We distance ourselves from them, and we create even more prejudices like, how many Polacks does it take to put in a light bulb? Or, did you see that group of snooty French women? I bet they're talking about your ugly shirt. These are entirely ridiculous. So we need to get them out of our society. We need to get to the source of our problem, which is our misguided approach to education. So many places in the country only teach a foreign language in high school. However, children will not absorb the foreign language unless it is taught to them in those younger, primary school ages. Many studies by linguistic experts prove that while all humans are capable of learning a foreign language, it is only possible to learn it fluently up to a certain age. That age is puberty. Scientists now know if we are to learn a foreign language, we must do it before that age. This is why children grew up in a bilingual household will speak both languages fluently. So, why then does the American education system choose to only teach a foreign language in high school? It makes no sense. But if history has taught us one thing, is that Chinese was the #2 language in the world, which has since become #1. Because they teach their children what they really need, which is that foreign language. Most schools in China teach a foreign language in 3rd grade, but some may teach it as early as preschool. So their children visit foreign countries and do business with them. Businesses see that they need a foreign speaker in order to compete on a global level. So they hire the Chinese because they can communicate in that global market. So let's take a look at the benefits of being bilingual. Of the numerous benefits. One is, of course, marketability. One woman who is very marketable is Flossie Wongstall. A top microbiologist, she speaks Cantonese, Mandarin, and English, and she uses the Chinese on yearly scientific and business trips to China. She is marketable because she is assured she can get out and sell her company's product, whether it be to a Chinese or an English speaker. Also, Laura Morse of CareerBuilder.com has said that 31% of all business executives are bilingual. So how does that stack up to the 17% of our population? Bilinguals are also paid more, by 15 to 20% on their salary. Not only can we be benefiting our businesses, but also our children. The ACTFL, the American Council on Foreign Language, has expressed numerous benefits for children. They say children in the classroom listen better to their teacher, they're more focused, so they're going to be doing better in school. They communicate better with others, while all at the same time increasing job opportunities. We can also benefit ourselves. through articulation, which brings us to one novelist here in America. Gary Steinhardt. He was dubbed 20th out of the 40 most promising fiction writers by the New Yorker. He says, I am much more at home here grammatically in English than I am in Russian. But Russian is very useful in getting across those tough concepts. So I'll think of something in my mind and then translate it. It's like a second soundtrack. And experts say that in reviewing scans of the Broca's area, bilinguals employ far more neural landscape when expressing themselves. So some may even argue that learning a foreign language makes you smarter because it opens up new ways to thinking. So how do we grasp these benefits? Education is what we need. Because that foreign language is only taught in high school, children are not benefiting. Professor Kuehl of Washington Institute of Brain Learning and Sciences has said, in those inaudible stages, the child is predisposed to learning a foreign language. Meaning that since children are born to so many different speaking groups, they can discern what their parent is saying, whether it be Swahili or Hindu. So when a parent says, "Es tu papá? Te amo. ¿Cómo estás?" Well, the child knows that Papa is back with his nasty peas. And because children can understand this, parents need to be held accountable for exposing their children to a foreign language. As you can see, learning a foreign language is only beneficial. We can be benefiting ourselves, our businesses, and even our children. And who knows, maybe if Frank had said, "I'm the man of your dreams. You want a cup of coffee with me?" in Italian, then maybe he would have gotten a date with a beautiful supermodel. Well, so long, farewell, adios and adieu, adieu, adieu to you and you and you.
Okay. Your final performance this evening is a duet by Mr. Matt Comfort, who is a first-year sophomore. Matt has qualified 2 events for state and is going to take this one. And this is Meredith Clark, who is a second-year sophomore. They'll be taking their duet, but Meredith is also a national qualifier with her oral declamation. So enjoy your duet.
Long, blonde hair, blue eyes, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
Long black hair, eyes of the color of the sky, and some sort of European accent.
Really smart. Sexy. Funny.
Published poet, independently wealthy, brilliant, spiritual, and funny.
Loves my friends, my furniture, and football. And wants me to make all of the decisions.
Loves my mother, anticipates my every need, and fulfills them.
Resolves never to gain more than 20 pounds with any pregnancy. And hates to spend money.
Wakes up early to watch me sleep because he can't believe he's been this blessed.
Realizes that male monogamy is unnatural. Adores me. Okay. Blonde hair, blue eyes, has done some swimsuit modeling.
A decent head of hair, blue eyes, can be American as long as he doesn't have a Long Island accent.
Really smart, funny, lets me make all of the important decisions.
Has read some poetry, but independently wealthy, and fulfills my every need once I tell him what they are.
Lets me keep some of my furniture and at least a few of my friends. But she loves football and realizes that male monogamy is very challenging. Adores me.
He wakes up early to watch me sleep. On the mornings I set his alarm.
Blonde-ish? realizes that whole male monogamy thing is just an excuse.
If I cry loud enough, he'll wake up and mumble, "Love you."
But she'll let me look at the girdle ads and the Kmart circular. That one little word.
Love.
Little word
Love can have so many different meanings.
to different people.
And finding the perfect match is not always easy. But just, maybe baby, it's you.
By Charlie Sheen.
And Sherry Simpson.
Well, excuse me. You must be Cheryl's cousin.
Yeah, my name's Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. I'm Ron. So, I hope I didn't make too much of a fool of myself at the ceremony. I've never been the best man before.
I thought you were great.
Yeah, right.
No, I thought your little ring search was cute.
Well, I think you're cute. Oh boy, that sounded really corny, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it's true.
Oh, thank you.
In fact, I think it's unfair of what you're doing here.
What?
Well, everybody knows that the bride is supposed to be the most beautiful at her own wedding, and here you show up and...
Okay, Ron, I think you had a little too much champagne during the toast.
No. That wasn't champagne I was drinking. It was ginger ale. I can't drink the night before surgery.
You're having surgery?
Oh, no. I am performing surgery in the morning. I'm a brain surgeon. A children's brain surgeon.
Wow.
It's not that hard, though. Brains are little. Well, look, Cindy, I can't drink, but I can dance. Would you like to?
Oh, sure. Just let me take off my...
Oh, no. Allow me.
Ron, you have a lot of energy.
Oh, yeah. I can dance all night.
You have a lot of interesting moves there.
Thanks. I go to the club 3-4 times a week.
Women actually dance with you?
Well, no. I usually end up dancing by myself, but I don't really mind. I figure the day I find a woman that can keep up with me on the dance floor is the day I find a woman to spend my life with.
Ron, look, you're really nice, and you are really cute, but I don't think we should dance together. At least not in public.
Well, I guess I see what you mean.
Good.
It's pretty embarrassing, huh?
Yeah.
Well, look, just because you're limited to a few simple rhythmic steps doesn't make you a bad person. I'm lucky. I can feel my own heartbeat.
That's lucky guy, Ron. Bye-bye.
I know she's out there, somewhere. All right, hand model, any color hair.
I don't care if he's bald.
As long as it's not a wig.
As long as he doesn't wrap that one remaining strand of hair around his head.
You're gonna see how a head.
He should probably have a head.
And some kind of body.
A body, just to hold up his
And
head.
living.
I want him living.
And breathing.
I'll take anything that has breath in it.
What? Smart.
And funny. And spiritual.
And adorable.
Puts me on a pedestal.
Just loves me.
Just loves me. And now, how about a hand for Horace and Donna Burns, mother and father of the bride. And now, how about a dance for our best man, Ron Turner, and our maid of honor, Ellen Lukowski. All right, but I'm not dancing.
Ellen, are you sure?
Well, yes, I'm sure. Would Ellen Lukowski please return to the dance floor? Okay, how about one of the other bridesmaids? Okay, how about the flower girl? Don't cry. Okay, would Nana Burns, grandmother of the bride, care to be wheeled out onto the dance floor? Alright, is there one kind-hearted woman out there? Perhaps the caterer's daughter?
All right, stop.
Anybody?
Stop. It's okay. I get it. I take you to be my cherished wife. I vow to rejoice in your lilting laughter, to bask in your natural beauty, and to stand by your side all the days of my life.
I take you to be my lawfully wedded husband. I vow to follow you to the ends of the earth as you drink deeply from the cup of life, to rejoice in your sense of humor and adore you always.
I vow to rejoice in each new aspect of you that is revealed, like when they lose our luggage at the airport,
on our honeymoon, and you have to go without contact lenses or makeup for 2 whole days, allowing your natural beauty to really shine forth.
Well, I promise to keep on laughing at your jokes, even the one where you say to the waiter, "This expensive? Did we break something?"
Well, I have to resist the urge to stifle that ever-increasingly high-pitched chortle of yours as the years pass, and to realize that standing by your side all the days of my life means standing by your side all the days of my life.
Well, I vowed not to compare you to my old boyfriends, who were really successful, when I realized following you to the ends of the earth will get me no further than Bayonne, New Jersey. And now, how to dance for the lady with the quick hands and our best man, Ron.
Hi, Ron.
Harriet.
Harriet?
Ron? When I came here today, I had
No,
no...
no, don't. We don't need words. We have the music to sing.
Ron?
Yeah, Harriet?
I can hear my heartbeat inside of you.
I know, Harriet. I promise not to hold you responsible for driving me to drink.
I vow not to fault you for making me feel old and useless like I hit rock bottom.
And when I absolutely hate you and blame you for all of my failures.
And when I loathe you and blame you for everything, including World War II.
I promise not to hate you and blame you for all of my failures.
I promise not to loathe you and blame you for everything. Especially World War II.
As God is our witness,
Till death do us part.
even if it kills us.
Oh, which it might. Amen.
Amen.